Hey everyone, it's the Mimicast, and I'm Mia with,
Milesh.
and today we're gonna talk about a really amazing anime called March Comes In Like a Lion, or Sangatsu
No,
no Lion.
don't
Hey,
take that. Stop,
wait, some
don't.
people like the Japanese parts.
No one does.
Whatever.
Actually, never mind. I do. There are some anime that I do think is easier saying the Japanese names than it is the English name.
In this case, it's a little bit easier
March comes in like a
when it comes
lion.
to or writing it down or something, or like
Oh, yeah, because
typing it.
you're just doing three Gatsu
Three
no
Gatsu
Gatsu.
no line. Yeah, like whenever I'm talking on social media, March comes in like a line is like a lot.
Yeah, you're right. It is a lot, but
Like, you know what else is a lot?
what?
This show in general
Oh, okay.
is a lot, right? Okay. So I guess we'll talk about what it's mainly about, which is a young prodigy, shogi master, and his name is Rei Kiriyama. He, at a very young age, I don't remember what age they say he was like a professional at.
Like
Like
10,
10?
9, some
That's
some young age.
extremely young. Because this kid just, his whole life, all he cared about is shogi.
Yeah.
To become that skilled at such a young age, that kind of has to be what your whole life is about.
Mm-hmm.
And he literally didn't enjoy talking to other people. He didn't care. And it was what it was a way for him to get closer to his father. Because I remember in the show he did talk about like his father and how he really loved playing shogi, and it was like while he was playing against his father was the one time where his father would pay the most attention to him and just like respond to him, and he loved it.
Yeah.
So it just kind of got him really into shogi for that.
Yeah, because Ray, like, he had like a fortunate situation with his family where his sort of real parents actually ended up dying.
Yeah, and he had a sister.
Yeah, so he was like kind of traumatized at an early age with all of his family dying, and his new father like took him in, and the one thing he noticed that his dad was really into was shogi. So he tried to get all of his children into shogi, but Ray was like the only one that was actually like decent at it, and he would actually praise Ray and be really happy with him.
Hold on. You make it sound a little confused. We have to make sure. What I was talking about was his birth father. So
Wait,
then,
his birth father liked
yeah,
shogi?
he did. Yes.
Ugh.
Jeez.
I didn't
All right.
know that.
So this guy's a little bit mixed up here. His birth father is the one that really likes shogi. And
Oh yeah, you're right.
yes.
Yeah,
They
so
showed
dad
him.
was in the show because
They even
his
talked about
foster
how
dad.
he did this habit where he'd like rock back and forth.
Yeah,
when he
because
was
his
thinking about
foster
her.
dad knew Ray's real dad.
Yeah.
And that's why he took him in.
Yeah,
God.
yeah. Luckily,
It all clicks
Ray's family all died in a car crash, like just randomly. While Ray is still young, he's still like 10 or whatever. So,
Oh, he wasn't 10.
younger? What was he, like 6?
Yeah, because remember, he became a professional because his foster dad was like,
Oh,
do this.
okay. He became a professional after he
Yeah.
got taken in by this guy who he luckily, or not so luckily, got taken in by this man.
I mean,
because this man was like shogi and he knew that Ray loved shogi, so he's like, okay, come stay with my family, you young shogi player.
I mean, it did work out. The only unfortunate thing for Ray was like his real, like the dad's real children pretty much bullied Ray because he was the only one that was good at shogi, and he was the only one that got the foster father's attention.
Basically, yeah. The other ones were extremely jealous. You had Kyoko was one really notable girl. She's the oldest out of the three. And she was very passionate about shogi and was the absolute most. She was most frustrated with how Ray
Right.
was way better, and she couldn't get any attention, or she didn't feel like she was receiving any type of like love from her father. So that ended up having a really negative impact on her too. Later on, we'll see.
Yeah.
But and then there's like the youngest one, the youngest sibling. He was, I guess, probably the weakest at playing, but he was less passionate.
He's much
And
more into video games.
yeah. He ended up eventually, him and his sister ended up like just giving up, and he went to video games. know?
And like
he would just lock himself up, play video games all day long because Ray was the only one that seemed to be fit to play shogi.
And kind of like the bigger guy Ray was, whenever he started noticing how his siblings were kind of like falling apart, he basically, as soon as he could move out on his own, he moved out.
Wait, before that, I wanted to mention how Ray knew that things were tense, so he was trying his best to do chores and things and not get on anybody's nerves or anything. But it just wouldn't work. Like, he was just stuck in this situation where they just hated him.
Yeah, because all of his...
No matter what he would do, they would pick at him for being good at shogi or for being, like, the best or whatever, and they'd pick at him for being, like, a goody two-shoes.
Yeah, because the kids themselves aren't, like, good kids.
No.
So,
not.
like, their parents were, like, mad at them. Like, how come you're not like Ray, who's, like, does all this stuff?
Yeah, the parents weren't... Yeah, the kids are bad because the parents aren't good, so...
Yeah, it works both ways.
Yeah, the father especially is pretty terrible. The mother just didn't do anything.
Yeah, the mother just, like, stayed behind.
Yeah.
But kind of, like, from there, Ray ends up getting his own apartment complex, kind of lives by himself. And at this point, you kind of start seeing Ray get, like, depression. And he's basically feeling isolated.
Yeah. Except this isn't, like, the worst part yet. Like, he does get, pretty depressed, but it's not like, full-blown depression yet. But... which, by the way, I think it's amazing that he's like on his own at this age.
Yeah, because he's only like 17, 18.
About 17 when he finally is able to move out. Like, that's what he settled on. He's like, I'm gonna become a professional so I can support myself and then move out. Like, he dropped out of school. He was like, I don't really need school if I'm just gonna be a professional, and I'll just live like that.
Yeah, and basically kind of from there, the show picks up kind of like right in the middle of that, and he actually ends up meeting a couple of people that really like help him out in his life and try to like make him kind of like bring light to his life in a sense.
Right, and you can see it when you watch the show and how it's directed. How there are a lot of moments that are really deep and dark and dramatic, but then you have these people that he met. It's Hina, Momo, and Akari. Well, okay, if I go by the order, like age order, Akari is the oldest, and she's like a mother to her little sisters Hina and Momo, and they really lighten up the whole show in general.
Yeah,
like whenever they come into the picture, things get really bright and really happy.
Yeah,
and me personally watching it frustrated me sometimes, because I was like, ooh, this is so like deep and dramatic, and I'm into it, and the next thing you know, it's like a light bulb flashes on and it's like, oh, it's so bright and happy, what's going on? So yeah, it was kind of like just breakneck changes of moods, I guess. Mostly in the second season, it was a bit too much. But I don't know, when I watched the first season again, I was like, this is okay, actually.
Yeah, they put into this like support characters for Ray where they kind of know he is lonely and he doesn't really have like a support system for him. So they kind of try to become that support system for him, especially like Akari and Hina, who are like old enough to like be his friends, give him food, always invite him out, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, they purposely, like, Akari was awesome for doing that, especially. She would find any excuse to make him come over. Like, any excuse she could find to get him over to her house so that he wouldn't be alone, so that he would somehow get some type of support. She would do that.
Yeah.
Like, she'd be like, oh, hey, I really ran out of this grocery item. Oh, what am I going to do? Ray, will you get that for me, please? Thanks. So he'd go to the grocery store for her and then come over and then end up eating dinner with her and her sisters. And they also live with their grandpa. They also have an interesting backstory, right?
Yeah, because pretty much their parents are also dead.
Yeah.
And they both ended up passing away at a young age as well. So Akari kind of has to take up this motherly role when she's like, I think right when she's in high school, like right when she's like graduating. So she basically has to like take care of her sisters and become like this mom character. And you can see like in season 2 in particular, kind of how that affects Akari and the whole like family relationship as a whole. And that's, I think, a thing that I really liked about the show is because you do see these characters actually have a bit more meaning to them beyond just being sort of like the light in Ray's life.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, when you first even like see Akari, you just assume right away, oh, she's a mom. But she's not. She's the big sister.
Yeah, she's like 23 or something.
Yeah, she's just a big sister, but she had to take the role of a mom, since they lost theirs, which is, so sad. It's I think that loss is worst for Hina because of what age she's at. She's at an age old enough to understand, but too young to be able to handle. I mean, it affected Akari too, yeah. But it's like she's more, I think she's developed more to be able to manage herself a lot easier. But
and then,
like for Hina, she has, emotional breakdowns over it.
Yeah.
And in Momo, the poor kid, that actually this is good for her, but it's like she's so young that she's just jolly, and she's probably the jolliest character in the whole entire series because she's too young to grasp the gravity of the situation they're in.
So, yeah, and then kind of the show, like season 1 generally focuses on Ray as a professional and him basically dealing with his depression by going to school again, meeting new friends, trying to like have friends in general because since he focused so much of his time playing shogi, competing in it, he never like learned to develop like social skills, like how to properly talk to people, how to properly maintain friends. And season 1 does a good job of kind of showcasing like his journey as a player while he's meeting new people and also just trying to become a better person, which I really liked because you do see how Ray realizes that he does need social interaction in his life.
Right.
And because he goes back to high school and stuff, right? Like he's not doing it just because.
Yeah. There's one scene where he was trying to get a job or something like that. He realized that he won't win all the time when playing shogi, basically, something like that. So he was looking through like a newspaper or whatever, but he realized, oh, all these jobs need like a certificate. I need to have graduated high school to get like all of these jobs. So he's like, well, I guess I'm gonna go back to high school.
Yeah.
And he did. And yeah, like Milesh said, it was a big struggle trying to communicate. Luckily, he did have like a teacher that was like
his dog.
Yeah, really, he could confide in that guy.
Yeah, it's because the teacher was also in a shogi, so like it helped him out because it was like
he's like not professional, but he's like a shogi nerd.
Yeah, and it was pretty cool like seeing their relationship, and kind of like from their there's also like a season 2 for the show, and that one's a bit more interesting because it does focus on the 3 sisters more.
Yeah,
especially on Hina because she starts getting bullied at the last year for junior high. And
the bullying segment is my favorite out of the whole series.
Yeah, so it really like dwells deep into like her character, her psyche, Akari, and all of them. Mm-hmm. And you also sort of see other characters get a spotlight too. And that's how like general the story from which comes in a Lion. And one of my favorite things about the show generally is like the character development. It's one of the few shows where I feel like every side character has character development, and it always surprises you like watching the show like, wow, this guy's getting character development. This guy's getting a flashback. Because in most shows, you only really focus on like the core main characters. But there'd be characters here that like got a flashback. I was like, fuck, I actually care about all these characters now.
Yeah.
And I think like one example was like in season 2, when one of the characters, Shimada, he's basically one of Ray Gray's mentors in shogi. And he ends up facing off in a tournament against one of the shogi's like long-timing champions. And I remember watching that match. I was like, okay, I'm rooting for Shimada because he's been a bro like this entire like the past 2 seasons. And then all of a sudden, the reigning champion to the sea that he's competing against gets his flashback. I'm like, dang. Now like both these characters, I don't know who I want to win anymore. And that's one of the things I really appreciate about the show because I do value character development over really anything else. So like caring about all the different characters in the show and seeing just how much development and backstory that they got made me like really happy, especially because I think like every character is good in this show.
Yeah, it's like it just shows like how realistic these characters are too.
Yeah, because they're ever changing.
It's like, and not even like just everybody has a story is really the big thing in this show. And it's like in real life that's how it is. Everybody has their own story, and I think it's amazing that this show's able to look into each character. Like the author took time to expand upon pretty much every single character to different degrees, to different levels. Some are more interesting or have more important things going on than others. But even like there's that character Smith.
Mm-hmm.
I like that guy. I like that guy quite a bit. He's fun. We had one episode or a couple that focused on him and his match with that one scary older guy who he's married, but he's like low key like
cheating,
dating. Yeah, he's like cheating with Kyoko.
More like Shimada faced him or when Smith.
Yeah. He was like because that was such a big thing. It's like, okay, this episode's about Smith. Like we saw, I don't know if you remember like when we saw like his whole morning routine.
Yeah.
That was a cool episode. It was like, all right, I just learned so much more about this one character who just only popped up every now and then.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he's like the star of the show. And we just see like his nervousness for that match. Like the whole match made him nervous. Because
I do think one thing the show does really great is Ray's the main character, but there are definitely episodes where they take a backseat.
Yeah, he takes it.
And pretty much like Shimada is the main character for this like couple episodes.
Oh yeah, a lot of like season 1.
Yeah, they'll have like episodes where Ray's more of a side character, which I think is really cool that they end up doing that, because it means that you don't need Ray to drive the plot. The plot is still going on like life goes on.
Yeah.
Right? It's not dependent on this one guy. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really cool. And again, like a realistic part of the show that, again, just makes me love it so much.
Yeah, right. So there's some moments I wanted to like discuss in particular. Like, did you have any like moments that you
like my favorite moments are always like Ray, like when he realizes, like I think in season 2 there's like a moment where he's like, oh wow, I'm not alone anymore, and like you see how he's like all like he like darkness is like enveloping him, and then like the light comes in, it's like all the characters he's been friends with, and I was like, dang, bro.
That realization, like, yeah, when he was like, man, I need to cry.
Yeah.
You know, and that hit me really hard too.
Because I think the best part of this show is like Ray's character development, where he's a total like robot in a way, where he has emotions and feelings, but he doesn't know how to properly express them.
And he's pretty awkward. He's overly polite, like too polite. You know, very careful with interacting with others.
And so seeing him like be mad, be happy, get used to being with people, it's like the best part of the show, because the show does revolve around Ray's life, and like a big plot point is like his depression. You know, they don't like outwardly say he has depression. It's pretty clear that he does. And so like seeing him and like learning how he's able to fight it and kind of like get through it with like friends and everything, I thought was really telling. And it's one of the reasons why I like the show again, is because Ray as a character is so interesting and unique. And it's just like cool, like you legit can tell the difference between the first episode of season 1 to the last episode of season 2. There's a total like Ray is just a different character at that point.
Yeah. So expanding on the depression thing, he definitely hit a breaking point in the first season. And I believe, I don't exactly remember when. And I feel like it's, he just kind of was having like match after match with these different people.
And he kept on losing, right?
And it wasn't that he kept losing. Oh. It was like one guy, Kyoko. This is when Kyoko played a big part, because she's manipulating him.
Oh yeah,
mentally manipulate. Yeah. She's purposely laying guilt on him for winning by talking about these people. Like there's this one old guy who's like, well, if I lose, I'm just gonna retire. You know, stuff like that. And so, Kyoko, you know, he's about to go to a match, and Kyoko will come by. She's like, oh, this is so sad. You're going to beat him, and it's going to be like his last match, blah, 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 blah. And Ray was like brushing it off, you know. You think he's fine. He's like, okay. But then there's another match that just really tipped him over the edge, is when this guy, it was another like older, like late aged type of dude. I don't remember what was like the big deal with his, like I don't remember his backstory quite as much, but Ray beat him, and the guy was just so angry. It's like the holiday season, and the guy was just so mad at Ray, and Ray just felt like, I'm just trying to survive, like I'm trying to win. Like, why should I feel bad for winning? Like, nothing's wrong with what I did, but this guy is like making it seem like I did something wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when that's when he was like tipped over the edge and he goes out and starts yelling and stuff like that. And I think after that is when he's like laying in bed and he's like, I can't get up, This is when the depression starts hitting. He stayed in bed like all day, and I feel like all the next day maybe. And it was like hard for him to like get out of bed. And he just couldn't do anything. Like this dude was going through it. Like it was really bad for him. Until I think finally he somehow, I don't know if like Akari invited him over or something. Maybe they like came towards him. I don't remember what happened. It's like blurry, but it was just a cool moment. I feel like people could really step into his shoes. Maybe if they've ever been through the same thing, they might appreciate it. He was able to eventually overcome it though, because he had a support team, which is Akari, Momo, and Hina. That's his main supporter.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, there's that. Anything?
Have anything to say about that?
Do you have anything to say about that? Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, like he was like couldn't even like eat anything.
Yeah,
because he was so bad. Oh, okay. You can come in. You look good. Hey there.
Are y'all guys recording?
Yeah.
Just gonna cut it out.
That's gonna be your job, but
yeah.
Well, actually, I do all the cutting. He just makes it louder. So yeah, Anthony stopped by.
I don't think the mic can hear me from over here.
Okay, I got this. So you said that you've seen about 2 episodes of March Comes in Like a Lion.
Yes.
So what are your thoughts and opinions on it?
I thought it was gonna be an emo feels fest.
You're not wrong.
I was like, it's gonna be a little bit about this game, but it's gonna be more about this kid and his feelings and him crying all the time, and he's gonna think he's not worth anything.
Did you just describe the show in 5 words?
Hold on. But like, it is a lot about shogi.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, it's legit a lot of shogi going on.
Yeah, but like we don't know how to play. So here's what I'll say. I don't know how shogi works.
Yeah.
So like all the shogi stuff that happens, I'm like,
Yeah, it's hard to like follow, but at the same time, it's like directed so well that you can't help but be kind of like enthralled in a way.
I watched a show called Akagi before, and Akagi is about mahjong, like gambling and stuff.
Oh.
I have no idea how mahjong works, and that show would be like, oh shit, I did something amazing in mahjong. I'm like, what did you do?
Yeah,
shogi I can conceptualize because it's basically just Japanese chess, so it doesn't blow my mind when I watch the show or anything. But I still don't get like all the rules for it. I am more familiar with shogi, but I still don't like understand it completely. So
yeah, but they tell you the gist. They'd be like, "Oh, this happened. This person's going offensive. This person's being defensive."
There's commentary.
Oh, there's
you won't be confused per se.
Yeah,
it's just like it's kind of.
You only be confused when they say like King C7 or something like that.
Well, that's not that confusing.
No, they say that, and I'm like, huh?
Well, because shogi has a grid.
No, I know, but it's like I don't know where these pieces are going. Oh,
Well,
it's
C7 is probably like if you were to picture a board, you could just probably picture A, B, C, C,
all right.
and then 7.
So Milesh doesn't get confused when they do that.
Because it's like a basic concept.
For me, it's like I can't. Huh? I don't.
It's a basic concept.
Yeah.
No, I get the concept, but if they're saying that, it doesn't add anything.
I understand.
It doesn't. Yeah. I can't.
I'm not like shit, man.
Yeah, you see, that's what I mean. I can't apply it in any type of way.
Yeah, but you understand what it means. He actually is moving it to C7.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. I know it's moving, but it's like I don't know how it impacts the game.
I do wonder, like, if you actually know how to play shogi, like watching this show. That's like one thing I'm interested in because it's like I wonder if you can actually be like, whoa, bro, King to C7.
Probably.
Whoa.
Okay, yeah, because I read some of the manga and all the commentary. There was a note saying that there was a lot of commentary by a professional shogi player. So the author worked with someone who's a professional to get this done.
Professionals.
Yeah. What was I going to say, though? Something about the game. Okay, there was one match that kind of blew my mind. It was with Shimada It was just like the end of the first season.
So when he fights the
Shimura versus Soya.
yeah.
And it's crazy how this match ended. It was like, you know, there's this Ray's like he just ended up being like a commentator type of dude. Well, he wasn't a commentator. He like was on the board. Remember?
No, that's season 2.
No, season 1. Yeah, there was a board behind him and he was like placing the pieces.
But he did that in season 2 as well.
Well, this is season 1. And I know that because I just watched it again.
All right, nerd.
All right. And anyways, there's this guy. They're all talking about how, you know, Shimura, he's up against like a long-time champion. He's not going to make it.
Because the guy he's facing is like Soya, and he's basically like Ray, where they both were like child prodigies, but he's actually like just dominates everyone he faces.
Yeah, he usually wins.
And so like he's just an undefeated champion.
Yeah.
So like Shimura had like no chance.
Shimura doesn't have as great a rep like at all.
He's more of like he's known but not known.
To the point where even before this match, Ray did this. He made a huge mistake. He was like worried. He was so worried about. He was like, okay, so I have to fight Shimura, and after I win against Shimura, I'm gonna fight this other dude, that scary guy. And so he thought that Shimura was like not a threat at all and completely underestimated him and was like, all right, I just want to get through this game. And because he did that, he lost.
Yeah.
And he felt so incredibly embarrassed after that. Like, yeah. Shimura was just like, wow, I can't believe this happened.
It sucks.
Yeah, it was a lesson learned. So anyways.
Because they were like hyping up like, oh, you're going to fight me, Ray.
Yeah. So that establishes where Shimura is at. You know, this guy, nobody really thinks much of this guy.
He's just always kind of been doing what he's doing in terms of like the shogi rankings and stuff. But now like he's always been a hard worker. And now it's like kind of like starting to show it.
Yeah. Yeah. So against Soya, they're all like, people watching are like, yeah, he's going to lose. He doesn't stand a chance. Blah, blah. Shimura's not going to make it. And Shimura was over here like, man, yeah, how can I beat this guy? Like, in his head, you hear his monologue or whatever. He's like, yeah, this guy's just a legend. There's no way I can defeat him. But then he sees that he's stuck. Or so that's what he thinks. And so he's like, okay, I'm going to resign. So, because, you know, you can give up earlier. He's like, all right, I'm done. Right? But then we realize right after he gives up that there was an opening. Like, if he made one more move, like one more specific move, Ray shows this, then he could have won, which is what sucks, you know?
Yeah. I feel bad for Shima.
And it was like, and Soya himself says, man, you trusted me too much, you know, like, you thought too highly of me, and that's how you lost this game.
Yeah. I feel bad for Shima because he's always been such a good character, and in season 1, he loses like the finale match. And season 2, he loses the other match. I'm like, bro, can you win one match, man? I love you.
I mean, he won against Ray.
Okay, well, whatever.
He didn't win against that scary dude, right? Yeah, because he was too...
He did beat him.
He did beat him.
That's how he fought.
That's how he got to Soya. Yes. Okay, yeah, so you got that guy.
Yeah, but he didn't beat...
And that was the guy that Ray was, like, sweating over.
Yeah, because the thing about Shimura, like, his backstory is that he's from, like, this small town where, like, everyone plays shogi. And, like, pretty much all of his friends were, like, these old people that played shogi.
Yeah. And
so he feels, like, the certain pride that he carries his town's will and that he has to, like, prove to them, like, they were right to pin all their hopes on him.
Right. And, like, in this old, you know, it's, like, just small town.
Yeah.
He is, like, a master. They're all like, wow.
Yeah.
You're so amazing. Oh, you're just the best shogi player ever.
Yeah.
And then he was kind of, like, hit whenever he went to the city. It's like, oh, there's all these others here that are better than me, you know? He's like, I'm not the best guy anymore here.
Yeah.
There's all those other people that are just as good and better.
But it was pretty cool, like, seeing Shimura kind of, like, go up. And, like I said, the one thing the show does so well is that, like, every character has, like, their own story and reasoning for being important. And it's cool, like, how much you just care about them. Because the character we haven't really talked about that much is Nikaido, who's kind of, like, Ray's best friend in a way. At least Nikaido thinks Ray is his best friend.
Nikaido's forcing that. Yeah, he insists to be Ray's best friend.
Because they both are like the same age, and they both are like kind of like rivals to each other.
Yes.
But Nikaido early on kind of like insinuates a lot of it. But then you kind of see it as Ray gets more emotions and everything. They're like, oh wow, actually, yeah, Nikaido, let's go.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool, like how they actually you see like the rivalry like bloom because Nikaido actually really cares about Ray, and I think he realizes that Ray isn't always in a good place. And that's one reason he always pushes him.
Mm-hmm.
but it's conversely, you see how Ray realizes, oh shit, Nikaido's like sickly all the time, and that like he has to help him out too. And I think that's another like highlight of the show is like again this Ray's relationships with these characters.
Yeah, and I think the fact that Nikaido does have to deal with his sickness, I think that pushes Ray also.
Yeah,
Ray is Nikaido is so what's that word I'm trying to say? Persistent, yeah, and determined. He has a lot of passion. It's like way more just enthusiasm towards like improving and getting better and fighting up against people. So he's a very good. He's definitely one of those support characters that really help Ray. Yeah. Kind of like Akari and her family do.
For sure.
Another light in his life.
So, is there anything else you want to talk about? March comes in like a lion.
Is there?
I guess about like the animation art. So we haven't really.
We need to talk about. Okay, we need to talk about how much care was put into this show, like just being created. It's like, okay, first of all, so the author Chika Umino, she has like a very specific style, and so I read the manga so I could compare to it. And what's pretty awesome is that it's like matches the manga to a T. The episodes are split into chapters, I guess. It'll say like chapter 1, chapter 2, like those are the titles, and it'll be like multiple chapters in one episode. But they go through every single chapter in order like it was written.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really cool. And on top of that, they nailed down like her art style.
Yeah.
Like
it's really interesting. It's
so
like
distinct.
It's like watercolory, right?
Yeah, but it's just like how she draws the characters. Like their outlines are very scratchy.
Their eyes are very interesting.
Yeah, it's like perfect. And then, while the animation is just good,
the directors definitely do a good job too of making it feel like stuff is happening. Because like the studio the studio does is like Shaft. So Shaft is known for kind of making TV shows look more sort of like movie-esque with like the camera movement and kind of like presenting the show in this like unique way that is pleasing to watch. Like the other season,
super pleasing.
It's like they've done all the Monogatari series, and if you've seen that show, it's clear that like they're kind of like known for it, and it's really cool like how they apply that to kind of a more basic show, like a slice of life show, like March Comes in Like a Lion. But there are some really like awesome moments, especially when Ray like thinks about stuff. Like the mental images he curates and some of the stuff that you see is really cool to like look at.
Yeah, isn't it cool? Like the shots, just direction-wise, the shots that they take, they're always interesting.
Yeah, they're not like
there are no like basic like person stand here and it's flat. They're always like
there's always stuff happening.
Yeah, they're very specifically chosen. And very dramatic,
Yeah,
it'll just be a head turn, and it's like a close up, and he's like,
"Yeah,
what?"
It's like basically like what Shaft is known for, right? It's like a simple action, but like the action has so much detail. It's like whoa.
Yeah, they purposely exaggerate very specific actions, and it's like done in good taste.
Yeah, but as like to the effect of like what they're not like if Ray turns his head in shock, it's like. You can legitimately tell he's in shock. Yeah,
it's like they do it for a reason. I don't think it goes overboard with it, but it's just so cool. It's a cool experience.
And like the soundtrack that accompanies it is also really good.
Yes.
And the openings are all really great. Endings are really nice.
Soundtrack is something I like listening to when I'm like doing work or something.
Yeah, and like the voice actors themselves were great. Like you could really tell like there was emotion put in their voices, especially like Kina's voice actress. Especially like towards the end.
Oh my gosh, and Momo's voice
This
actress.
is like
That's
perfection.
definitely just a kid, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, adorable.
Yeah, so props, like the production value for the show is wonderful.
It's like off the charts.
And
honestly.
It is actually like season 2 kind of ends like a little cliffhanger. And it's like
the first episode of season 2, it's so beautiful.
Yeah. And so like we're just waiting for season 3 at this point, which, I think the show is actually pretty popular in Japan. So the likelihood of there being a season 3 is a decent shot at it. Because the manga, I think, is also pretty popular.
Yeah, it is still going. So.
And Shaft does generally complete most of their shows that they do because they're doing all the Monogatari and stuff like that. So I wouldn't be surprised seeing season 3 anytime soon.
Okay.
So, any closing thoughts, Mia?
In closing thoughts, well, I recommend that everyone watch it. This is one of those where I feel like it's a must watch, like regardless of what you're into.
Yeah, I think March comes
because it deserves to be watched.
Yeah,
You know, just because
right.
it just deserves your attention.
Mm-hmm.
And something that will, I think it will.
I think it's a special anime.
It's enriching.
Yeah, it's if you want to watch a show that has
Big brain.
Pretty much the show's for intellectuals only. But
Yeah,
if I'm being serious, it's like I think it's a special show because if you are tired of like shows that don't give character development to every character or they're kind of more basic and plain, March Comes in Line does a really great job of giving everyone feelings, character development, pretty much all that stuff that you want. And it really does like make you think about your life. It kind of make you happy about like having friends because it's like, wow, I know what the light of my life is, but you really feel it in this show where like Ray tries to discover it, and it's one of my favorite anime for a reason. I'm not. It's probably like in my top 20-ish anime. I'm not sure where I'd actually rank it.
Oh, I have no idea where I put it.
But it's definitely up there for me. You can tell like it's popular because like the season 2 has like a 9.505 on like my anime list, and it's like the 8th ranked anime on there now. So clearly,
Dang, it is.
So clearly, people like the show.
Yeah, obviously. Oh, I wanted to. Yeah, you were talking about the characters and liking them. I realized, yeah, there isn't a character that I hate. I genuinely. Okay, actually, there is.
There are characters.
I hate Kyoko.
Yeah, like, it's not hard to
I don't care what her story is. I cannot stand her.
Yeah,
like,
they're really
and you understand why she's the way she is, but still, she's the worst.
Yeah. So.
But what was I gonna say? I can't remember.
Okay, bud. Well, that's gonna be it for us.
Yeah, that'll be it. It's a shorter podcast than normal.
Yeah, March Comes in Line is a more concise show, and we'd rather you guys just like see it for yourself and like really experience
Even
it.
though we actually like just said everything.
We said some stuff. We didn't like spoil.
This isn't really meant for people that have seen it, I guess.
Yeah, but if you can still watch it without, because it's like you don't understand what we're saying.
Yeah, honestly, that's one show. Like what doesn't drive it, the plot doesn't drive it.
There's no big
characters
spoilers
that drive it.
Yeah, there's nothing that's gonna like ruin the show for you.
Right. So this is a show where you could know everything that's gonna happen. But what's gonna be the most interesting part is still gonna be the characters.
Yeah, and we didn't
the
spoil
actions and stuff. It's not really what matters.
And it's not like we spoiled like season 2. We didn't really spoil, so you can watch season 2 and be like,
we definitely gave you a good breakdown of season 1.
Yeah. So
even then, it's like a whole lot. Oh, okay. What I wanted to mention though. Okay, it fools you. I remembered. Hold on. Remember that teacher in the 2nd season?
Oh.
Or should I leave it out?
Yeah, don't say that.
All right. All right. So
now we're actually gonna say bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.